Now we call His Holiness Jananda Goswami Maharaj, who is our advisor for this temple project. And Maharaj has been here long time, I think. So he is responsible for this whole project.
A hole in the project. You say it's a hole in the project?
So, welcome Maharaj, who just came from London. Am I right, Maharaj?
Hare Krishna. This way? Here? This way? Here? You said we had to spin around. Three times around.
He's a Vastu cameraman.
Hare Krishna. Am I in the right position? Next to Prabhupada is the right position to always be.
Prabhupada ki
Jai. Well, it's a wonderful, auspicious day here in Seberang Jaya. We're not in Seberang Jaya now, we're in the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada, Shri Nitai Gauranga Roy, and all of the devotees here today, Maharaj, spoken so nicely. Kailash Prabhu, Mushwar Prabhu, and everybody else. It's just interesting. Can you hear? Are you sure?
Yes.
This Butterworth, more or less we can say we're in Butterworth, right, more or less. It's interesting to note that the first temple in Malaysia was in Butterworth. You may not know that. This was back even before Kuala Lumpur. In fact, the temple was here before, well, let's say the first temple. There was here in 71, of course. But there was a center started here in about 1977 in Butterworth. And when Prabhu Vishnu Swami came here, he visited Butterworth with Bhakti Vijayendra Maharaj, who happened to be here at the time for various reasons. Maharaj had been deported, actually. Bhakti Vijayendra Maharaj had been deported from Europe for doing Sankirtan, and they sent him back here. It was that time when Prabhupada left the world, and just after that Prabhu Vishnu Swami came here to visit Maharaj, Bhakti Vijayendra Maharaj, who was Vijayendra Kumar then, and they came up here to Butterworth. They had a shop. There were all the devotees up here in Butterworth wearing neck beads, and they had a little center here in Butterworth, and they were just doing preaching here in Butterworth. And so that was practically, other than 1971, that was the first solid sort of little preaching center here in Malaysia, here in Butterworth, not too far from here. And then again, not long after, a very senior devotee of ISCKON came here to Butterworth also. Somehow or another he chose Butterworth. Yadubar Prabhu, one of the most senior Prabhupada disciples, who's a famous photographer in ISCKON, and he's made these wonderful DVDs, what do they call? Following Srila Prabhupada. I hope you've all got these here. Have you got them? Available from the BBT. These are about 13 DVDs. They're the most amazing, wonderful DVDs about Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So that's one. Now we're going to, let me just mention that just to remind everyone, Butterworth seems to have a little special place for sure. I know it's got a very special place. So maybe someone can just hold this. When, as you've been aware, and Kailash Prabhu mentioned, when Prabhupada came here in 1971, in May, he came here in May. The exact dates are May the 3rd to May the 8th, 1971. So he came here for a special reason. Of course, his disciples were here. We were hoping one of them would be here today. Amoga Prabhu is in Kuala Lumpur right now. We thought he was coming, but last minute change. So unfortunately he didn't come. He was here when Prabhupada came. And this book, which I know you all got, And if you haven't got, there are hundreds of copies over here, I would imagine, book table, correct? There are. So if you haven't got it, this is the book, Srila Prabhupada in Malaysia. He only spent 5 or 6 days here, that was it, in his, you can say, in his moving form. Now he's here eternally, of course, in his murti, and in his instructions, with all his Srila Prabhupada's presence and strength in his instructions. So I'm just going to read a couple of little things that, regarding Prabhupada's coming here to Malaysia. Because the devotees had been here for some time, and they had contacted in Kuala Lumpur a doctor and some others in Kuala Lumpur who had offered Srila Prabhupada, offered ISKCON some land and a temple. That was the idea. So Prabhupada, they let Prabhupada know. Of course, they wrote to Prabhupada and informed Srila Prabhupada about this possibility. So here's a letter which Srila Prabhupada wrote. He wrote this telegram to Kamala Devi, who was the devotee in Kuala Lumpur, to Mataji, who was hoping or thinking to give this land. Prabhupada says, informs me about your donation of land and temple. I thank you very much with blessings of Lord Krishna. She'll be glad to hear from you further in this connection. And then Prabhupada wrote further in the letter, he said, it seems that there is great potential there for spreading Krishna consciousness movement in Malaysia. And in another letter, just shortly afterwards, to Hanuman, who was another devotee here at that time, Prabhupada wrote, as soon as I learn that temple construction and donation of land is a fact, I shall be glad to go. So Prabhupada's already here, of course. As soon as this construction of the temple begins, we can understand that Srila Prabhupada's presence will be even more available, will be more present even still. And let's see, when Prabhupada was in Kuala Lumpur a few days later, this was on May the 7th, I think, yeah, May the 7th. Srila Prabhupada was in Kuala Lumpur. And, Hare Krishna, the devotees had met, when they were preaching in Kuala Lumpur, one of the most prominent members of the Indian community, Tun Sambandan, a government minister. Knowing Prabhupada was coming, Prabhupada asked, Tun Sambandan asked the devotees if Swamiji would come to his house for lunch on Friday. In the minister's chauffeur-driven car, Prabhupada and the devotees entered the driveway through the large gates. A high dais had been arranged for Prabhupada to sit on. Mrs. Sambandan sat at Prabhupada's feet. She had a reputation for singing bhajans and an interest in Sanskrit. Prabhupada preached to her very intently, hoping that she would help to spread Krishna consciousness. Being the wife of the minister, Prabhupada saw that she could be very influential and helpful in spreading Krishna consciousness in Malaysia. As Prabhupada explained the process of Krishna consciousness, he quoted many Sanskrit verses. Mrs. Sambandan said, yes, that is so true. You quote Sanskrit so nicely, Swamiji. After some time, Srila Prabhupada said, so, you are appreciating our philosophy very nicely. You must help us spread this Krishna consciousness movement, she answered. With your mercy, Swamiji, she said. Srila Prabhupada then said, mercy is already there. You simply have to take it. She answered again, with your mercy, Swamiji. And Srila Prabhupada gave an analogy. He said, if someone is drowning in a well and is crying out, help, and another person hears him and throws down the rope so he can catch it. If the person drowning in the well cries, "Help me take the rope," it is not right. It is up to him to take the rope and be pulled out. The mercy is there. You simply have to take it and become freed from all illusion and lamentation. As Prabhupada continued talking, he seemed very intent, but at the same time acting nonchalant. Then a wonderful thing happened. Prabhupada asked for his white vinyl hand case and pulled out a paper and put it in the lady's hand. He said, "I want a temple like this." Prabhupada very much wanted this lady to help build a temple here in Malaysia. At the same time, by his calm expression, he seemed to be restraining his extreme enthusiasm. On the paper was a sketch of a 3-altar temple and the floor in the design of squares. It looked just like the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, which was later, but hadn't even, the land had not even been received at that point of time. Mrs. Sambandhan explained that her husband was already building a temple, but she would discuss it with him. There was no definite response. Prabhupada was overflowing with desire to spread the movement, and he took every single opportunity to try to engage others in helping. So Mrs. Sambandhan got the mercy of Prabhupada's association that somehow or other was able to take up this great mercy. So now you have all got this opportunity to fulfill Prabhupada's will, and as she didn't take that rope, we can take that rope of mercy, and that means we assist Srila Prabhupada in constructing this temple, and as Maharaj has said, the real foundation. They're working cooperatively together to put Srila Prabhupada's instructions in the center. And as we repeat what we said last night, that this is a spiritual movement. It's a spiritual movement. And the word spiritual is made up of, we're divided into two, SPI, and ritual. The last part of the word is a ritual. So unless we put, if we want it to be spiritual, not just a ritual, just a material endeavor, we have to put Srila Prabhupada, SP, Srila Prabhupada's instructions first, then it becomes spiritual. Otherwise it is a ritual. So this movement is for that purpose, to create a spiritual revolution on this planet. Not just building temples, not just doing things, but changing the consciousness of beginning with ourselves, but of everyone. And this mainly is centered around, entirely in fact, around putting Srila Prabhupada's instructions in our lives in the number one position. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Shishi Nitai Gauranga Rai ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank His Holiness Jananda Goswami Maharaj for wonderful reading of his own book, Prabhupada Indonesia. Maharaj put it together. A lot of his words are there as well. And so Prabhupada came to see the land in Kuala Lumpur, but he also came to Penang. So he covered Penang as well. And Teluk and Ipoh, and the whole highway.
But he did not go on a helicopter.
Didn't go on a helicopter, though the papers mentioned that time. Okay, so now we have a few things to, we like to call Damodar and Sapati to come and receive the letter award today on this auspicious day for the Sapati ornamental work from His Holiness Radha Goswami Maharaj. Hare Krishna. There's our Vastu cameraman.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
And we have, thank you very much. We have also another announcement. We've got a pledge. We had a pledge of 110,000. So the pledger, what you pledged it? The pledge. What you pledged it, that Sri Gauranga Prabhu will please come and hand over his pledge of 110,000. His Holiness Jananda Goswami Maharaj will give it back to us.
Cash? He's high, he's run away already.
Maybe he's run away with the money.
Carried away by Maya.
Hey! 3 balls. So we look forward to more of this type of gifts from friends. Hare Krishna.
First time. First time. We gave you a donation. I was waiting for that.
Okay, and then what are there? Any other? Maybe missing things? Please forgive me.
Touch roof. Oh, we have another donation here. Oh, it says touch roof.
Hare Krishna. We also like to say something that Maharaj Jananda Goswami Maharaj is traveling around the world. He doesn't forget Malaysia, so sometimes he gets donations and he brings it in. He has been giving for this project. Maharaj himself is a big for this project. Another 100 for Maharaj. 8,000. 8,000. Maharaj has donated 108,000 so far. Oh, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Check this, no, check.
Exchange balance. We'll do the ceremony for this. No, we'll release the balloons, right? Or we will do this. Informal, don't mind. We've got too many things going on. We need your help. So we will reveal this first. Since we are here, we will call Baladev Prabhu, our engineer, our architect, and his 2 assistants. We have to put the helmets on. It's very dangerous. We need safety. Safety is our foremost. Maharaj. Yes, Baladev Prabhu and his 2 assistants. Baladev Prabhu is here. He's so excited, very experienced devotee. He's very good in kirtan. And devotees robbed him away. He's supposed to do the model. I had to stop him. Very good at bhajan kirtan, so he's here. And Maharaj, yes, Ravichandra Maharaj, please come. Which is the front, which is the...
You are it.
I don't know.
Prabhu, you are it.
So,
You are it. Rebo.
okay. Okay, so this is the front. So, all right. Where's Kalisha Prabhu?
Chief Engineer.
It's okay. Leave it. Don't worry. You can't control us too much. We'll give you a break. Okay, Hare Krishna. We need the kirtan. Kripa Sindhu Prabhu. Without kirtan, there's no shock here. Where's Kripa? I think he's tired. Oh, Mike. Come here. Come. Kirtan devotees have special permits anywhere in the world.
Sit down.
Oh, yeah.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. And first, stand up.
Rebo.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Jai. Okay, we got that balloons gone up. Anybody who can guess the number of balloons, he gets another balloon. Okay. So now we will come to the ceremony over here. Moonakarnam Prabhu said he likes to take a picture in front of this Rama gold. So every devotee, please, we have to do it 5 minutes because the good time is coming. So we have to sort it out. Then you can take picture afterwards. The Rama gold will still be here. We are not full. We are not piling it in full. We are having about 13 feet above ground. It will remain. Okay. So we can still do it after. We better proceed with the sermon. Okay. We now call Srila Prabhupada, Jananda Maharaj, His Holiness Kavichandra Swami Maharaj, and Vijay, our donor of the 10.8% of the piling project, Vijay Kanda Prabhu, to please come. So first Srila Prabhupada will push the button of the pile. Yes, small Prabhupada. So small Prabhupada will come, big Prabhupada will see. And then Maharajas will do that, and then Vijay Kanda Prabhu can do the second push. And we are still leaving it open. If anybody is interested to give another push, you can always come forward. You can pass your check later. Only 10.8%. Forget about the 43,200. Think in small. Okay. So we will go to the Rama gold. So please, devotees, some devotees have scraped the gold away. That's not good. Keep the gold. Hare Krishna.
So where's Mr. Lau, our SH Butterworth? We need the help of. Where's the Mr. Lau? In the cockpit. No photograph after. Because we can find a lot of the.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe you can still shoot for the. We have safety is our foremost concern. Everybody keep a distance of a mile.
Right. This one may.
Keep a distance. Children, please. Keep a distance. Hare Bol Provost, everybody, please. How far, bro? Everyone, Mataji, please move. Everybody, please move. Please move away about at least.
Wait.
How far? You better say safety.
9 meters.
9 meters. Let's say 9 meters makes 30 feet. Hare Krishna, please 30 feet away, 30 feet away. Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Prabhu, 30 feet. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama.
Come. We can take photo, group photo. Haribol, get inside, a little bit behind. Too wide. Get inside somehow. Okay.